Hi guys, I'm Phil, and I was recently diagnosed with bipolar type 2. If I know you in real life, like from work or anything, please don't share this. Don't share this on Facebook or anything. I know it's on the internet and like anyone can find it, but if kudos to you, you found it. Don't share this on Facebook. Thanks. So for a living, I make YouTube videos for a company that I work for, and I don't have a channel of my own, and I never done this interaction with the YouTube community before. And so I don't really have a plan. I just figure I'd bring the camera out here and just start talking. I have bullet points so I can try to keep this as concise as possible. I'm making this video because when I was in the hospital, we did these group sessions and I found that the counselors and therapists and psychiatrists, they can understand us, but it was the other patients that related to me. And there was some catharsis in that. And so I'm hoping that by making this video, I'll find other people that have just been recently diagnosed and can relate to some of the things I'm talking about. Or some people who have been diagnosed for some time and are dealing with it in their own way and maybe can give some advice, things like that, and just kind of talk about it. So I'll start off with my story. In the timeline of things, I think that like all my symptoms started in high school, and it was misdiagnosed as depression in the past. And I found that in my research that bipolar is quite frequently misdiagnosed as depression because the depression is really easy to see, while some of the mania or hypomania symptoms just are a little bit harder to kind of see. I found that over the years, my symptoms have kept getting worse and worse and worse. And yes, I am a lot older than I look. And it just started getting really ugly starting from last year. And then now we're up to here. So I started getting depressed. And then I went through a breakup, which kind of put me in another little depression. And then all of a sudden I kind of hit my a high, oddly enough. And all of a sudden I started working out like all the time because I just had so much energy. I started sleeping maybe 3 hours, 5 hours tops. That's on a really, really good day. And I still always had so much energy, and I could tell I needed more sleep because my body just wasn't recovering well from exercises. I would just be always sore. And then I started acting out. I started having like these little outbursts of rage. I started getting really, really like agitated with people like super fast. I almost got into a few bar fights. And then eventually I hit euphoria, and I was just on top of the world. I was always laughing and smiling, but still I kind of hit agitation like really easy with people. I was working out all the time, still sleeping very, very little. And then towards the end of last year, I thought I was getting lazy. I called one of my cousins and she's like, "You're not a lazy person." And then it just started getting worse and worse and worse. Like I never made it out of my bedroom. My bedroom was my everything room. I ate there, I watched TV there, everything. Until about a month ago, I had my first suicidal ideation. Someone from work found out, they reported me to HR, and then HR went to my boss, and then they just put me on disability leave and then came to tell me about it. And then encouraged me to go to the ER, and I told them I was really, really depressed. Then they recommended me to their psychiatric facility. And while I was in the psychiatric facility, the psychiatrist there, he told me that I had bipolar type 2, major depression, obsessive compulsive, and ADHD disorder. And yeah, the psychiatric facility, it's just like what you see in the movies. There's like this main area where like everyone's just kind of like hanging out or watching TV, or like some sort of activities are going on. And then there's like this office area with like a counter like thing where all the techs and nurses would hang out. And then they had like one of these rooms with like the double doors where the top would open up and they call your name and it's medicine time. And I was an inpatient for about a week, and then I got out and I was in their partial hospitalization program, which is their outpatient program. Even then, I just didn't believe the bipolar diagnosis. I just thought that, you know, I just need to deal with my depression, that's it. And in the weekend that I got out of inpatient, I was kind of all over the place. I hit like that one weekend, like on like Friday, I hit like a high, and then I hit like a really low that Friday night. And then Saturday all day long I was kind of high, and then Sunday I woke up and it felt like there was nothing I can do, because the moment I woke up I was like severely depressed. I walked into the bathroom on my way out, I just collapsed on my knees and started crying on the bathroom floor for like an hour and a half. And I'm not much of a crier, but yeah, I was on the bathroom floor crying for like an hour and a half, and then the suicidal ideations came, and I started planning. And then for some reason I just felt really, really lonely that second. And then I called a friend. My friend talked me out of it. 40 minutes later, I was still exhausted from crying, but I was completely back to normal. And thinking back on that suicidal ideation when I actually started planning it, it feels foreign, like the thinking, like you know how like when you get into an argument with someone and to you everything you're saying just makes perfect sense and you just want to shake them and be like, how come you can't understand this? That's that amount of disconnection from the way you think. That's exactly what it felt like. It felt like someone else's thinking just entered my mind at that second. It just felt like that was the best idea in the world. That was the only thing left to do. It almost feels like someone who's intent on killing me hijacks my body and brain and is trying to convince me to kill myself. And you know, it's really scary because I mean, I don't want to die, you know, like, but in the moment it was so real, you know. So I continued their outpatient program, and you know, we had a little, you know, hiccups with the medicine, you know, kind of taking me off of one, putting me on a different one. I told you guys that I just didn't believe the bipolar diagnosis, and then one day it just slowly started sinking in for everyone, with the therapist, the people in my group, and myself, that I might be manic, hypomanic right now. And that was a huge revelation for me, because I guess I didn't really know what bipolar was. I just kind of had the same stereotypical idea of what bipolar was that I'm sure a lot of people might have. And that afternoon I just checked out a group. I mean, I was there, but I just wasn't paying attention. I was just looking up bipolar symptoms, and started reading a lot about bipolar all day long. All of my life it just started making sense. I've broken so many bones. I always thought it was because I played rough, but maybe I just take unusually high amounts of risk, do stupid things that other people wouldn't do. And everything just started clicking, and it seemed to make a lot of sense. And then the therapist told me I need to stop reading about it, because it's kind of like mass hysteria, because, like, you know, if I read about it and I didn't already have that symptom, and all of a sudden I might find it. It's kind of frustrating, which is a good segue into some of the frustrations and worries that I have about being newly diagnosed, and a lot of questions and things like that. And one of the things is, all the people in my life, they give me this advice and they think it's like the best advice ever, and oftentimes they don't realize that I'm talking to other people and everyone's giving me conflicting advice, and they're all so confident about their advice. Oh, and the worst one, when I get depressed, I hate it when people tell me, Phil, cheer up, man, find something to be happy about. What? Oh, you just changed my life, man. I never thought to do that before. And I just want to shake them and like explain to them that, like, when I get depressed, it's not like it's not because I'm sad. Sometimes it happens for no reason, and it's a lot like when you get a cold and you get a headache. You can't will away a headache. You take a pill and the headache goes away. And I think a lot of people who are diagnosed with major depression and anxiety might resonate with that a lot, because I know a friend who has severe anxiety, and people tell her, hey, why don't you just try to calm down or go to sleep or something. It's like, wow, I never thought to try that before. And then there's the stigma. There's the stigma of mental illness in the first place, and then there's the stigma of bipolar, even bipolar type 2, because I kind of get the idea that a lot of people don't even know that there are different types of bipolar. And within my immediate community, there are some bipolar type 1 people. I mean, you can tell that the people in my community just absolutely love them, but every now and then I detect like a little bit of annoyance in their voice when they're in their manic phases, and you can tell that they kind of get a little bit annoyed, and it makes me feel like I can't talk to anyone about it, because in the past it didn't affect me because I didn't know I was bipolar. I thought I was just fine. But yeah, like it just doesn't feel good. It feels like I can't talk to anyone about it. Hey, we have some people coming down. Hi. And so that being said, I'm afraid that if I told some of the people in my immediate community, I might be treated differently or viewed differently, or they might start looking for symptoms like, oh, he's being manic, oh, he's doing this, he's bipolar. Like, and then there's my work. From what I understand, high productivity and high creativity are all hallmark signals of mania or hypomania. And I keep thinking, like, will I still be good at my job? Will I still come up with all kinds of new ideas? Will I still be as productive as I was? Will I still be as ambitious? Will I want to try new things, you know, take a little bit of risk here and there? And I keep thinking about that, and like all the therapists and psychologists and doctors, they tell me, Phil, you'll be fine, but they're not in my shoes and they don't really understand just how much of a worry this is for me, especially since my job is making videos. Like, I don't care what anyone has to say about it. I'm just talking about how I feel, and I'm sure some of you guys who are brand new to this diagnosis might feel the same way, especially if you have creative jobs. And then there's all the presumptions, and like I said, I didn't know what bipolar exactly was. I thought I knew, but then I really didn't once I started reading about it. And I'm afraid that if I told people and I didn't have the chance to educate them a little bit, then they would just immediately think, oh, bipolar, like in the movies. And I'm not convinced that they know that there are different kinds of bipolar. And then there's all this like shame that I feel about my diagnosis. And like people tell me all the time, Phil, you shouldn't feel shame about this. Mental health is one of those really misunderstood things. But you know what? Like, you do your own thing somewhere else. I still feel my shame. And maybe I'll learn to get over it one day, but I still feel it. So back off. And then there's all this uncertainty, like with my job, with the people in my life, with my medicines, with treatment plans. There's just so much uncertainty because I'm just so new to this and I have so many unanswered questions. And whenever I ask people, everyone has like conflicting advice and conflicting everything. So anyway, it looks like we have some guests.
Are we ruining your shot?
No, yeah, that's okay. I'm just making a YouTube video. Yeah, go for it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a YouTube video.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
It is nice to do a YouTube video.
Yeah, it's real pretty out here.
Yeah, it is.
And so I think I'll make a bunch of videos like this, just kind of journaling my journey through figuring this out. And hopefully I can find people that can resonate with what I'm saying and relate, which was the point of starting this YouTube channel. So if you do relate, if you're in the same boat as me and you have all these unanswered questions and you just feel so uncertain about everything, let me know, comment section. If you've gone through this in the past and you're at a better place or maybe not such a good place, let me know in the comments like how you got over some of these things or some advice maybe. If you caught the reference for the name of this video, good for you. It's a movie reference. Well, and that's everything. I hope it wasn't too long. I don't think videos in the future will be this long. It'll just be quick updates about some of the things I've been thinking about or some of the things I've been feeling or was anxious about. So I don't really have a great sign off. Bye.